So Adam Back, the only man to ever be mentioned by name in the Bitcoin white paper, famously predicted that Bitcoin could actually hit $700,000 this coming cycle, and in his very own words, flip gold. Now, the three charts that I want to show you guys today is going to actually show that it's potentially happening much faster than most people think, okay? This flipping in has already begun when we look at the correct data. So let's have a look at this chart here. This is the chart of the Bitcoin ETFs and the gold ETFs. Now you can see the dark blue line is looking at the amount of time it took the gold ETF to reach $5 billion in capital, okay? So it took a long time. Now we can actually see it took the gold ETF 2 years to reach $10 billion in capital. But it only took Bitcoin 2 months to reach the same $10 billion in capital. Now, this is the chart that was on today's thumbnail, and you can see why I used it. It's absolutely incredible to see just how quickly Bitcoin has reached this milestone, especially when you compare it to gold. And we can actually see that the Bitcoin ETF saw another record-breaking day today with its first ever $1 billion of net inflow for a day. We're going to talk about that later in today's video, but I want to actually start by talking about Adam Back's 2 Bitcoin predictions for this coming cycle. So the first prediction was one that he made in early December, and he predicted that Bitcoin is going to reach $700,000, and in his very own words, it's going to surely flip physical gold, okay? This is exactly what he said, and at the time, I want to remind you guys, the Bitcoin price was looking very different to what it's looking like today, okay? When Adam Back made this prediction, Bitcoin was briefly below $40,000, okay? Since Adam Back made that prediction, Bitcoin's up by, about 80% in literally the past 3 months. I've been called out for my dodgy maths on the live stream, so I'm going to get the calculator out. We can see since Adam Back made that prediction, it's up exactly 80.37%. There you go, haters. The math was on the money for that calculation. But again, I think this is significant and this is huge, okay? This is very, very big, that it looks like one of Adam Back's biggest predictions is actually coming true, okay? So, but that's not, the only prediction we are going to talk about today. I want to talk about his other prediction, where he said that, well, he didn't say, he actually made a bet that Bitcoin could hit $100,000 before the Bitcoin halving. Okay, so again, let's go back in time and have a look at when he started this bet, because it was actually a long time ago. This bet was even earlier. At the time, we believe that Adam Back was talking about this in late November on Twitter, okay? Now, if we were to pull this up on a chart to show you when Adam Back made this bet, you can see that white vertical line was when he said Bitcoin's going to flip gold and potentially hit $700,000 this cycle. Now, I want to do another line to show you when he said Bitcoin could hit 100K before the halving. I actually think it was back here. I think it might have been October he was making the bet when Bitcoin was literally in the $20,000 per Bitcoin. 28,000 technically, but it was in the 20s. Okay, so if you just have a look at what Bitcoin's done since it was $28,000, you can see the rise has been absolutely incredible. Okay, Bitcoin is literally up 150%. Adam Back got called an absolute nutter when he made this prediction about Bitcoin in 2023, okay? Most people did not think this was possible at all, okay? Again, at the time, Bitcoin was still down more than 65% from its all-time high, okay, which is absolutely incredible. Now, we're going to talk about all-time highs in a minute, but Hamza raises a really important question that's on topic, okay? He says, does anyone else feel like things are very muted at the moment, despite price run? They are, and we're not seeing a whole lot of retail interest right now, despite the price going absolutely parabolic. Actually, funny story, I had my first retail person reach out to me and, tell me that the price of Bitcoin was going up. Now, this was only this week, And at the time, this person was in Australia, so they know me from my past life, so to say. And in Australia, the Bitcoin price is like 20% above its all-time high, and the Bitcoin price is like at 111,000 Australian cuck bucks. Okay, so put that into a little bit more perspective. I only have one message from a retail participant. Wow, we can't do that on a live stream. I have one message from a retail participant, and this was someone I actually got to buy some Bitcoin way back in like 2020, maybe it might have been 2019. I got this person pretty early, to be honest, but they were happy with their stack and they were messaging me, asking me what's going on because they just heard about Bitcoin on the news. So again, this cycle, it feels as if despite the price going absolutely parabolic, things are a little bit interesting. We don't have retail yet, which is why I'm very, very bullish right now. Okay, now again, Bitcoin's at $73,000 right now. It's got 33 days left before the Bitcoin halving, when Adam Back thinks it can hit $100,000. Let's check in on the price because I know it's been pumping today in particular. We haven't quite hit $74,000, but this thing has just been up and to the right, and you can see every single dip, it's been eaten up aggressively by Wall Street. Okay, absolutely incredible how aggressively things are getting eaten up. And speaking about things that are getting eaten up, this chart here is incredible. Gold has hit a record high even during ETF outflows. So have a look at this chart here. I think it's absolutely fascinating. So in the pink is the price of gold. And you can see right now, gold is at an all-time high, but nobody's talking about it. Who's honestly interested about gold all-time highs? Nobody. Nobody cares, okay? I actually watched a debate literally last night. I didn't watch the full thing, but I watched about an hour-long debate of, what was his name? Raoul Pol. He was the Bitcoiner in this debate, believe it or not. And he was against the anti-Bitcoiner Peter Schiff, who's obviously a lifelong gold bug. And for the first hour of the debate, I was shocked that Peter Schiff didn't even mention the fact that gold's hit an all-time highs, okay? They're so nihilistic in the gold world that they don't even care. Nobody's even talking about it. Again, I'm a former gold bug. I'm not hating on gold. You know, it has been a great form of money for 5,000 years. Gold, it's even though, I can't even make a good argument for gold anymore. It's honestly outpaced the rate of currency debasement. But anyway, here's the chart. So you can see gold is at an all-time high right now. So it kind of matches up with the chart that I was showing you just a second ago, where we're actually looking at the price overlaid with the ETF volume. Now, Hamza sums up my opinion of Peter Schiff pretty nicely there in the chat. I try not to say that on YouTube so we don't get this video kicked off the platform. But I want to take you back to this chart that my fellow Australian shared. Jesse Felder shared it, but my fellow Australian quote retweeted it. So what I want to show you is look at the past 6 months of price action here. See, the pink line is going up. So that's the price of gold going up, but have a look at the blue line going down. So that's showing you the total ETF holdings of gold. It's dropped precipitously. You can see it's actually dropped by nearly 25% since 2022, late 2022. So again, that's interesting. It was somebody front running the fact that a Bitcoin ETF was going to be approved. That's an interesting rabbit hole. I don't want to engage in too much speculation for one day. We'll leave that rabbit hole to the side. But what I want to show you is how quickly Bitcoin is eating gold's lunch. And I think this chart here does that really nicely. Okay, so we're going to really zoom in on this and have a look. So you can see that the gold ETFs, after 20 years of being on the market, have accumulated $96 billion of capital. Now, again, we can see that the Bitcoin ETFs are already up to $54 billion of capital, okay? Absolutely incredible. The gold ETFs, if you were to look at the how much capital these two ETFs hold between them, let's have a look at them at like a store of value percentage, we can see that gold has 64% of this store value percentage. Bitcoin already has over a third of it. It has 36% of it. Now, the big question that I want to ask you guys is, does this mean that the central bankers are short Bitcoin. Okay, so we know that capital moves quickest in these ETF markets. And if Bitcoin is already worth more than half of what the gold ETFs are worth in the ETF market, does this mean that the central bankers should be actually watching this kind of accumulation that's happening in the Bitcoin space? I think so. Now, let me make the case for why I think that. Because when we actually look at the total market caps of both of the assets, I think that the central bankers are short Bitcoin in a big way. So we can see gold right now is worth $14 trillion of market cap. Bitcoin is only worth $1.4 trillion of market cap. So this actually means that gold is 10 times larger than Bitcoin by a total market caps. But when you look at the ETF game, we know that gold isn't even double Bitcoin's size in the ETF market. So are the central bankers miscalculating what should be in their treasuries? I think this is the case. I think it's pretty clear by this chart here that the central bankers are massively short Bitcoin. And like Adam Back said, if we get a $700,000 Bitcoin this cycle, what is going to happen? What is going to happen to central bankers all around the world? Are they going to have to dump their gold and buy Bitcoin? I think so. But this chart's interesting for a couple of other reasons that I want to explore today. So we can see if Bitcoin simply doubles from here, so it's worth $150,000, that means it's actually going to be the second largest asset in the entire world. We've already flipped silver. Take a look at poor old silver here, number 9 on the chart. Again, a lot of people, gold bugs, are still out there buying silver, but Bitcoin's flipped it. And gold is next. But I think we're going to actually take out many of these large companies on this list this coming cycle. We have Google at a $1.7 trillion market cap, Amazon, Saudi Aramco, Nvidia, Apple, Microsoft. At Microsoft, the only company right now at $3 billion of market cap. It's honestly surprising. I didn't know that they were the largest company right now. I thought Nvidia had that mantle, but it didn't. Okay, Bitcoin is going. All it has to do is reach $150,000, and it's going to be the second largest asset in the entire world. Now, obviously, when the price of Bitcoin goes up, some people are saying, yeah, but Bitcoin will go up to 50 or 60, or Bitcoin will go up to $500,000 or $600,000, and the largest holders are going to sell their Bitcoin, aren't they? So Bitcoin's going to see another 85% correction. Well, Michael Saylor gave a little bit of a viral interview today, actually talking about this exact point. Now, you guys have probably seen the interview. It's been all over Twitter today. And if you have, I want you to stick around because I think I have some unique thoughts. Let's say that. I have some unique thoughts about what Michael Saylor actually said in this interview. Okay. Now, I haven't seen anyone else talk about this angle. And I think it's an interesting one when we are talking about Bitcoin being worth $500,000 or $1 million, because lots of people are kind of talking about, I'm gonna sell my Bitcoin. I'm gonna get really cute with the trade, and I'm gonna sell it. So hang with me for just 2 seconds. I'm gonna try to bring it up again because I have apparently, I don't know how, but I managed to lose it. So let's see if I can find it. Man, I'm too slow for this. I need producer Pam in here. She can probably find things quicker than I can. It doesn't help when you've got 100 tabs open either. Here we go. I think I've got it. All right, let's go. Let's see if this audio works for you guys. I want to play maybe the first minute of this interview because it's very important about what we're talking about today. So let's listen to what Michael Saylor says here.
Yeah, well, we think Bitcoin is the highest form of property. It's the apex property in the world, and it's the best investment asset. So the end game is to acquire more Bitcoin. Whoever gets the most Bitcoin wins.
Well,
there is no other end game.
But Michael, I guess what I'm trying to understand is, so if I think of it as digital property, and I think of analogies, right? I think of a real estate company that buys property and holds on to other kinds of property. They may not be the apex, but whatever kinds of property. I think of an asset manager that buys all kinds of different assets. Eventually, they sell those assets in order to make profits. But I don't think that is your end game, right? You're not
So to add a little bit of context, the very first question she asked Michael was, what's your end game? Yeah, you bought Bitcoin, good on you. Bitcoin's gone up a lot, but don't you have an end game strategy? And this was Michael's response. No, we don't have an end game strategy. We have a pretty clear goal of what we're going to do with Bitcoin. But let's listen to the rest of this and just notice how salty this news anchor is when she's trying to attack Michael Saylor. She's cutting him off. She won't let him talk. It's incredible. But let's listen to a little bit more of this one.
Not planning to sell the Bitcoin at any point. So kind of what is the purpose of it over time?
Well, let's keep in mind the fundamental principle. What's the use case of Bitcoin? It's capital preservation. So if you have $1 billion and you live in South America, or you live in Asia, or you live in Africa, and you want the capital to last for 100 years, you're not going to want to buy $1 billion company or $1 billion building or $1 billion of land in any place in Africa. You're going to have to find some other form of property that you can hold for a long period of time. Let's take New York City. Developers of New York City in 1776 didn't have an end game. They've been raising capital to invest in New York City real estate at the all-time high for 300 years. If you went and talked to them today and you said, what's your end game? They would say, well, we're going to keep investing in New York City. If you've ever talked to a person that owned an apartment in New York City, no one aspires to hold the apartment for a few years, sell the apartment, and move out of New York City. They put it in their will, they give it to their children. And if you ask them why, they say there's no better place on earth to live than New York. There is no place up from there. So New York City is the end game for people that want to live in the greatest city in North America. Bitcoin is the end game for anybody that wants to own the greatest property in the 21st century.
Well, I guess that is the case, but is there a price at which you would consider selling some of the Bitcoin, pulling out? So, I mean, because you can do something with New York City. You can live in New York City. You can have a business in New York City. What do you do with the Bitcoin besides it just gather value?
Well, the real estate developers in New York City, they're not buying the real estate because they want to live in it. They're buying the real estate because they expect
because they want to sell it eventually, Michael. I mean, let's be honest. Most of the people who are, yes, sure, some people pass it on to their children, but like most of the people who are buying assets at some point want to sell the assets at a profit. So
let me say it a different way.
Okay.
People that use fiat currency as a store of value, there's a name for them. We call them poor. Okay.
I haven't listened to that. There is a name for people who use fiat currency as a store of value. We call them poor. That was his direct response to getting cut off from the news anchor. Okay. Again, look at how salty the corporate press is. Look at how triggered they are. I think Hamza puts it perfectly. The end game is to hold Bitcoin to the point where the news host gets very triggered. I think that's absolutely on the money, okay? John Gammon makes an interesting comment here. She mustn't have a lot of money, i.e. she doesn't understand the problem. Now, this is the big takeaway here. None of these news anchors understand the problem. They don't understand what Michael Saylor is doing, okay? It goes back to the interview Michael Saylor did with Laura Shin, okay? Laura Shin was obviously a trader, and she was very kind of adamant that Michael Saylor had to sell some Bitcoin. She was infuriated. She said, Michael, but you have to sell some Bitcoin. You can't just buy it forever. And he said it very clearly. What am I going to buy with the Bitcoin when I sell it? Okay. I've escaped the fiat matrix. Where am I going to go back? Okay. Michael has absolutely, he's put the tail on the donkey, so to say. Okay. He has identified the problem correctly. And I think this is something that the fiat press just does not understand about Bitcoin. Okay. I think it's as simple as that. They do not understand what he's doing because they don't understand that fiat's the problem. Okay. They think that the ECB should get their wish, okay? And the ECB came out today. Now, again, breaking news. ECB plans to roll out digital euro CBDC starting in 2025. Guess what? They claim that it'll be private. but it will not be. According to Walker, given Lagarde already wants to throw you in jail for a 1,000 euro anonymous cash payment, study Bitcoin and opt out of this totalitarian surveillance token. I think he actually added, and he summed that up pretty nicely, because Pam and myself are in Europe right now. We can't get more than $1,000 out of the ATM per day, because they have these tyrannical laws put in place where if you use more than $1,000 cash, you're instantly classified as, some sort of criminal, or you're doing some sort of risky behavior. Okay. Now, again, so this, I think it goes back. I think this kind of ties in nicely with what Michael Saylor was talking about. Okay. But we can see here, this is their new CBDC that the ECB is rolling out right now. They are in preparation phase, and the next phase, potential development and rollout in November 2025. So that gives us about 18 months to prepare and escape the matrix. But of course, if some people get their will, we might not actually be able to escape the matrix. I don't know if you guys have seen this video or not, but this is, of course, Christine Lagarde. And she was asked about Bitcoin in a pretty famous interview. Now, this is actually going all the way back to 2013. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen this interview or not, but it is pretty hilarious. I'm not going to lie. It is very interesting. It's very illuminating of, what these people have planned for us in the future. Okay. They're essentially, they don't want us to, have wealth. They want us to, save for a prosperous future. What they want is they want you trapped in what they call the fiat matrix. Or let's just hear it directly from Christine Lagarde's mouth, and let's listen to what she has to say and how she sees Bitcoin and how she sees it as an escape. I'm going to play this interview for you guys.
It is a speculative. It's a speculative asset by any account. I mean, when you look at the most recent developments upward and now the most recent downward trend, it's for those who had assumed that it might turn into a currency. Terribly sorry, but this is an asset, and it's a highly speculative asset, which has conducted some funny business and some interesting and totally reprehensible money laundering activity. I think that there are criminal investigations that have taken place that I'm sure will continue to take place that demonstrate it very clearly. And there has to be regulations.
This is the important part. Pay attention to this part here. There has to be regulations.
And this has to be applied and agreed upon. It's a matter that needs to be agreed at a global level, because if there is an escape, that escape will be used.
If there is an escape, this escape will be used. That is Christine Lagarde's very own words, okay? They are telling you the quiet parts out loud, okay? They're telling you that if Bitcoin is available, it's an escape and it will be used. And we want you trapped here in our new central bank digital currency that's going to be rolled out in November 2025. Okay, Walker said it nicely. Study Bitcoin and opt out of this totalitarian surveillance token. That's exactly what it is, okay? Let's not forget the words of Christine Lagarde. If there's an escape valve, it will be used, okay, guys? You really do need to, again, this is the signal amongst the noise. Again, we talk a lot about stuff like this. Yes, it's great that the Bitcoin ETFs are seeing record volumes, but if you're buying the Bitcoin ETF, you are stuck in that matrix. You are stuck in that system that Christine Lagarde wants you trapped in, okay? Again, it is easy to escape the matrix and use the escape hatch that Christine Lagarde calls it, but you do need to take action, okay? So if you got Bitcoin sitting on exchange, please get the thing off there, okay? It's really not that hard to get your Bitcoin into your own self-custody. I might even have some self-custody here, actually. I do. You can get your hands on like a simple Bitcoin-only hardware wallet. It takes less than 5 minutes to put your Bitcoin on one of these. This is a Bitbox. I've got a few of these. I've got cold cards. I've got all sorts of ledgers. It's really not that difficult to use the escape hatch, okay? If you guys need help taking Bitcoin off an exchange, setting up a wallet, again, you can reach out to me. I got a calendar, and I'm more than happy to help you guys, actually use the escape valve and use Bitcoin as it was designed to be used, okay? These criminals, Christine Lagarde is a convicted criminal. I'd like to remind you guys of that. She is genuinely that's not even me having a go at her. She's a convicted criminal. I can't remember the exact crime she was engaged in, but it was something like $400 or $500 million of money that she was supposed to stop, and she allowed it to go through because she's a criminal. She was aware that the money was illegal and not supposed to be sent somewhere that it got sent. But again, these people, they just want you stuck inside their little fiat matrix. We can see here so we can see here in the live chat, I've got a couple more charts, but I want to hit the live chat. John's talking about the new Bitcoin meme. YouTube, Michael Saylor, we call them poor. Definitely check out that remix that has been all over Twitter today. If you haven't seen it already, it's incredible. Hamza says contact BTC advisors if unsure. Thank you, Hamza. I am thrilled to be part of the Bitcoin advisors. Chico, my man in the van, you cannot escape the matrix. Like the spoon, you can only bend it. That's great. I love that. Great quote. Well said. Now let's move on. I want to show you guys one more thing that caught my attention today. So MicroStrategy once again holds more Bitcoin than BlackRock for now. Today we actually saw the flipping. We actually saw BlackRock overtake MicroStrategy, which is pretty incredible when you really think about what we have seen and how rapidly we've seen it. Okay, when we actually have a look at heyapollo.com, you can see that the Bitcoin ETFs they've hoovered up a lot of Bitcoin. Okay, they've hoovered up over 400,000 Bitcoin right now, which is absolutely incredible when we think about it. Again, it's taken Michael Saylor 4 years to get to the 100,000. How many Bitcoins you got now? 205,000. I'm about to show you guys. We can see it here. MicroStrategy's holding 205,000 Bitcoin. This is in the orange. And we can see in the light green, that's IBIT. So that's actually BlackRock. BlackRock is in the light green, and they currently hold 216,000 Bitcoin, which is absolutely incredible. Okay. But then have a look at what's to the right of these charts. I'm going to make this chart a little bit bigger for you guys. We can see in the purple, GBTC, 388,000 Bitcoin, and the 9 new Bitcoin spot ETFs have bought 434,000 Bitcoin. Okay. Absolutely incredible, the supply suffocation that we have seen. It's wild. It's wildly bullish. I honestly have no idea. I don't think anyone was this bullish on the Bitcoin ETFs, if I am being honest with you guys. The only people who I think could have potentially been, this bullish about the Bitcoin ETFs is probably Samson Mow. So if you guys don't know, Samson Mow made the prediction that he believes Bitcoin's going to hit $1 million because of these Bitcoin spot ETFs. And again, like Adam Back, he made this prediction way back in 2023 when Bitcoin was below $40,000 per coin and when nobody was really paying any attention to the Bitcoin spot ETFs. So again, I think we should watch what he's saying. I had the pleasure of interviewing him recently. You can see we posted that interview over on the Bitcoin News YouTube channel literally yesterday. So if you haven't seen that one yet, go and check it out. It's a banger of an interview, if I do say so myself, not because I was a part of it, but just because Samson was absolutely spitting fire for the entire interview. So with all that said, guys, I think I'm going to close this one out now. I'm losing my voice a little bit. 2 live streams a day. I'm a little bit pooped. But I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Hope you guys enjoyed that Samson Mao interview that you can go and see, or if you've seen it already, hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.